Good afternoon, everyone. Let's give a minute for Dr. Ashlesha to join. She'll be joining shortly.
But I'm here somehow. I don't know why the camera is giving a trouble.
Oh, okay.
Check it again.
Sure.
Okay, got it. I was trying to really. Anyway, I'm glad this is working.
That's good. Yeah, no worries. So, welcome everyone. Today is our session in the Ayurveda series on Arva Yoga. Those who are joining new, Arva Yoga is a non-profit. We conduct a lot of free programs in yoga and wellness for the community. Today we have Dr. Ashlesha Raut. She is MD Ayurveda. And today's topic is going to be balancing lifestyle for perfect health. So over to you, Ashlesha Raut. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and welcome everyone. I'm glad that we are here again today. As you know, we all, every last month of the Sunday, we do this Ayurveda way understanding. So basically, I would like to just give a recap, and if I can share my screen, can you please? It says that the host is not able to host as disabled. Can I try again? Yeah, I got it. Thank you. We are perfect. So I hope you all are able to see my screen. And today we really are focusing on very important aspect. But before we start, I would just like to give a recap that what we have seen so far. We saw what is Ayurveda. We also last time we understood that what is the relation between mind and body and how they are related and how do we understand actually mind in through the Ayurvedic perspective. We also saw that how emotions interfere and become a cause for the disease. And then what is ideal nutrition for mind. And so now we are going to come on a very important topic. And this topic is all about how how to balance lifestyle. But before I again go on, I want to understand and I want you to really think about, take a moment and think, what is balancing? When we say balancing lifestyle, exactly what is balancing? Balancing is, as you see in this picture, right? There is a board, one board here, and then you are balancing, even if the life is unequal, right? Like here we see that only one stone is here, and then three, four stones are here, but still the flat board is, balancing. Is this really balancing? And if this is balancing, then what is this, right? Because many time here, and I see many of all are females here, that how many things we do like this, whether it is a education, whether it is a cooking, whether it is a managing the office, whether it is running around for the daily chores, what all these things, what is that? That is also balancing. In some ways we would call this as a juggling, right? But that is ultimately is the balancing. And that exactly what we are going to talk about, that all these things are true and we do have to balance these things. And that is also true. But the major aspect of this is that how do we really do that? Or what is the guidance of Ayurveda for doing this? So, one important another factor is then when we talk about the balancing aspect, as I said, the definitely the lifestyle becomes the major important aspect of it. I mean, maybe my focus, today's focus would be more for the lifestyle balancing, not the juggling. And every person is individually different. Ayurveda believes that there is a uniqueness in every person. Maybe, maybe humans. And we do have two eyes, two ears, one nose, one mouth. But still, the way we react, the way we react to some food, or the way we understand some thoughts could be totally different. A simple thing for somebody which is very pleasurable could be the same thing, could be very much ill health producing. And this happens in the same way. You are in the same planet, you're living on the earth, you're living absolutely with the same environment, maybe two persons staying under the same roof, and still they would have, I mean, we see this many times, that husband wife staying together, doing everything together, still a wife gets little bit weather change, and then she has the runny nose and the itchy eyes and all this congestion and everything, whether the husband doesn't even suffer from these things. And when the summer, like spring goes, summer goes, and then wind starts blowing. I mean, in Chicago, so here wind really blows, otherwise also. And then suddenly he starts getting problems. So two people staying in the same under the same roof, and still there is a difference. And many of these differences actually contribute to the lifestyle. So lifestyle is probably the most important factor in our physical and mental health. And why specifically today is this topic is because last time we saw about the mental health. Now physical health is also very important. And how do we tackle that when so much of in specifications are necessary, or each individual is so much very appropriately unique? Then how can we prescribe someone a same thing? This is also a problem, and every person's lifestyle would also be a problem. So what should we do about this? And for this reason, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever thought about this topic, that why do we sleep at night only? I mean, go in any part of life, any part of world, correct? And you will realize that we sleep only at night. I mean, people do sleep, those who do the night jobs, they have to sleep in the morning, but that is not the natural way. As soon as the baby is born, you would see that the baby will also start sleeping at the night. Some days, maybe the nights are awakened, but in general, in any part of the world, you would see that we always sleep at night and we get up in the morning. And no matter how much we stay awake, still in as the morning comes, maybe late, but we still get up. And that is absolutely everywhere. So why is that? Anybody? But at least you agree that this is the scenario, this is the reason, this is how we sleep at night. Yes? So there is an answer, of course, for this. And this answer is explained in the modern contemporary science as the circadian rhythm. So what is circadian rhythm? Circadian rhythm means there is a clock in your head. The head meaning your brain, the meaning again the neurotransmitters, correct? And in simplistic language, I'm trying to explain you that literally there is that clock which actually works, and that is the reason why you feel sleepy at night and you get up in the morning. In fact, there is a hypothalamus, and more than that, maybe we should say that you know the light really matters. And as the day light comes, our melatonin becomes absolutely inactive. That is a hormone which produces the sleep in your body, and that becomes inactive. And as it goes down, as the day goes down, obviously you would have the night kind of like comes in. And this, as night comes in, obvious slowly the melatonin starts working, starts secreting, and creates the sleepy feeling in you. And that is the only reason why during night only we sleep. Now, this is not only about the sleep. Actually, this is true for the digestion of your food. This is true for the mood of your body. This is true for maybe sometime the pain sensation in even your body. So we understand from this that there is some connection, 100%. That this connection makes us to revolve around how the nature is going. See, I we do believe that, right? We are here in the cold region, and automatically, as the winter comes, we start, changing our wardrobe, and we have this the cold coats and all the something which will keep us warm. And you would say that, so what? Like, of course, we feel cold. That's why we behave like that. It's not only that. It actually not just the physical sensation of cold. You will see there are many such other things which will in your body will start changing. And this change has to be understood. So somewhere we are definitely connected to nature, and this is what exactly Ayurveda says. You know, I was actually last week at California, and there was a conference, and I was speaking there in the conference, and we were talking about this whole aspect of the how the Ayurveda is an inductive science. Inductive phenomena is always been considered for learning purposes, for the reasoning purposes. How we observe the nature and came to the conclusion, rather than just bringing us theory and then explaining its nature. Ayurveda has always done this, that thought about the nature and then wrote down all the theorems. And in that same respect, I want to talk to you about one of the very fundamental principle of Ayurveda. And this is so important, and every time, even if we remember only this principle, I feel personally that we can really have that perfect healthy life that is still possible. And what is this fundamental principle? It says that you are a miniature of nature. So the whole world which you see around is nothing but the same thing inside. Also, you would have the same thing. And it is truly true, because literally you would see that the things change outside and you would start feeling that way. I mean, we have now, we say, oh, we are in the modern age. We can have the light, even if the sunlight is not there, but 24 hours we can have a light. But do we really feel that way, the way we feel from the sunlight? I know there is in US specifically, we say that the seasonal disorders specifically And these disorders are on the mood swings. And basically, they say that if they don't see the sun for a week, there is a lot of depression observed. And why? Because just the sun is not there. So the rate of depression is more. Why? Only because we don't get to see sunlight. And maybe because, and there's some certain places that definitely happens. For example, in the Seattle and Washington state, up there in the north and west side, many time it is absolutely, the weather is completely different, and that creates this whole aspect of very fundamental principle again truths here, that yes, if you don't get connected with nature, then something starts happening to you. It's not just your circadian rhythm, it is also your connection with nature. And that's how you are absolutely a miniature of nature. Everything happens in your body is about the nature. And I'm going to actually talk about these fundamental principles a little bit more, because if you really understand these principles, then absolutely it is possible that how do we have our body lifestyle is becomes easy. And once you know that this is how this time we have to do these things, then you are always keeping that good health or the perfect health. So what Ayurveda says, coming to these principles, that there are basically 5 fundamental elements which is known as earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Now, when I'm saying earth, please don't understand the globe of the earth. Here it is an element in aspect I'm talking about. So the element means the something which cannot be further divided. The absolutely elemental level. And the earth as a mass level, it has been understood. Then comes the water, as you would know, the liquidity which has, that is water. Then comes the fire, which has the heat perspective. Then comes the air, which can be feel around but cannot be seen. And then comes the ether or space. So these are those 5 basic elements. And based on these 5 elements, which are you would see in whole the nature. So all these 5 elements are the fundamental principles, or fundamental elements of this whole world. The whole world is only made up of these 5 elements. That's what Ayurveda believes. And the same, these elements are not just outside somewhere, they are also in your body. So these elements which are in your body, they act as a energies, and these 3 energies are nothing what we call it as a vata, which means the ether and air makes the vata, and then the water and earth makes the kapha, and fire and water makes the pitta. Now, why am I talking about these 3 great elements? Because these elements actually creates a very crucial physiology in your body. In fact, around these 3 elements or around these 3 energies, which are known as dosha or the bioelemental energies, the whole physiology around removes around these 3 elements or these 3 energies, and we call them as doshas. So these doshas or 3 doshas, 3 means 3, and 3 doshas are the source of our every physiological action in our body. Not only physiological action, but our even anatomical structure of our body is based on these 3 elemental bioenergies. And these doshas create you as a very unique you, because their appropriate proportion, their unique proportion in your physiology actually makes you you. It may be a little confusing, but actually this is the simplest way to understand that why certain things works for you in that way, and why certain things work differently, maybe for your sibling or maybe even for your parents. And that uniqueness, what we call it as a prakruti, or you could call it as a body mind type. And why am I explaining this? Because your body or your lifestyle balancing is absolutely based on this. Ayurveda says, because you're a part of the nature, because you are nothing but the nature, correct? Because you're nothing but the nature, you definitely have to attune yourself with nature. As I said, the body mind type creates you as a you, specifically unique you. And if you realize that, understand this whole connection, that certain appropriate amount of these three doshas in my physiology, and if that I understand that physiological understanding, then it is very easy for me to attune with nature. And then if I start attuning my body mind type, how that prakruti or the body mind type is, if I start behaving according to that, then the health is effortless going to come with me. So attuning with nature is necessary, and also along with attuning with the by what is going to happen by attuning with the nature, because Ayurveda says that as you would start attuning with your nature, automatically you're going to reconnect with nature, and not just reconnect with the nature, you can even maintain this connection if you would follow the Ayurvedic daily routine. And by so ultimately what will happen, that you will connect, in the sense you will start to use this nature circadian rhythm which is already within you, and you just align it with that, and naturally the health will occur. But how do we do that, and what is that clock which I was talking about, and how do we connect that with our clock, correct? So a very simple formula is been given by Ayurveda, and that is that you just have to understand that these three doshas, which are vata, pitta, and kapha, they are very uniquely arranged in your body. That is one aspect, but they are again also into the nature. So whatever is in you, that the same thing is in nature. So if you understand your nature and you understand outside nature, then aligning will become very easy. And the meaning of aligning is nothing but the balancing. Meaning of aligning is nothing but the attuning with nature. So let's understand now that when this Vata Pitta Kapha, and what is this time of the Vata Pitta Kapha, and when they become prominent in nature, so we act exactly during that time, and that's how our body will follow the balance. And as our body will follow the balance, means our lifestyle will be balanced, means we will achieve the perfect health. So for the understanding in a few minutes, I mean, I will just take 1 minute for explaining this. This is the only theoretical part, that what is vata, when you would ask the energy. Just to give you an example, as I said, that is made up of two great elements, and which is that is ether and air. So you just for the understanding purposes, I would say the wind energy which you see in nature is called as vata, right? If you would understand, if you can see, this is vata point I'm pointing out. So this is that wind energy. Now what is pitta? Pitta is considered as a combination of the sun. Sorry, it's a combination of heat energy. Heat means fire, and the water energy, and obviously fire and water creates the heat, and that's why it resembles as a sun what we see. into the nature. So we are making here connection that how you are ultimately connected with nature. Correct? And then comes the kapha energy, which is made up of earth and water. And obviously, this is the moon energy or the connecting energy which connects everything in the body. So if you have heat, you have to balance with cool, cold kapha. And that's how, and then the moving energy is also there. So how do we understand in body? So whatever moves in your body is because of vata energy. Whatever transforms in your body, because heat transforms, correct? And that transformation happens is the pitta energy, and kapha energy is exactly opposite of that, which means it union, it creates that union, it creates balancing of that heat, which means cold, and that is actually the kapha energy. Now once you understand this, it is now easy that when they dominate into the aspect of your daily routine, because you're living a life which is a 24 hours of a day, then we need to understand which day when the things are where we say, oh, this is a time of vata, oh, this is a time of kapha, and this is a time of pitta. So to just to give you an understanding, the like if we can understand the 24 hours, then we understand the 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night, just for understanding. Again, this is, so as you say AM and PM, right? The morning 12 to 12 PM. So 12 AM to 12 PM we considered as a daytime. And then after 12 PM till next day 12 AM, again, we will consider the half of the day. So with that, if you would understand that into the like early morning 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock till the almost 6 o'clock, 2 to 6 would be the Vata dominant time. And this Vata dominant time means, again, it is AM and PM. So whatever this whole as time, 2 to 6, would considered when the Vata energy is very much dominant in your body. Then comes the 2 to, I'm sorry, 6 to 10. And that comes the, again, the kapha energy. And then you have obviously remaining 10 to 2 again, which is the pitta energy. Now you would say, but yeah, we understood this all, but we don't know how to apply that. So now let's do the application part of it. Once you would know the very first application part, I'm going to tell you. I'm suddenly showing you a yoga pose, but it has some meaning to it. So the very first thing in the morning, when it is a vata time, which is the movement time, and I told you already that is in from the beginning, so 2 to 6 a.m., 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Of course, we don't want to get up, but some people would get up at 5 a.m., some people will get up at 6 a.m., some people will get up 7 a.m. But what do they do and what are they supposed to do? So the very first thing would Ayurveda say that get up in the morning, that is one of the lifestyle which everyone has to follow, and that is something really important, because we want to maintain, we all are made up of three doshas, correct? And we want to maintain the same energy what outside the energy of inner universe has. So first thing when you get up, you do need to do what is the very first thing one should do is the evacuation of bowel. I'm sure you must be getting up and going the evacuationing, whether it is bladder or the bowel, but you would be doing it. The first thing as a yoga pose, why I'm doing, because this yoga pose is known as Malasana. So what is the meaning of Malasana? This is how the Mala asana should be done. So when you Mala means the fecal matter and asana means the pose. So to defecate, one should be sitting like this. Now you'll say, wow, that is difficult. We are here, and in almost every, uh, excuse me, every every toilets are now with the Western type of toilet, and no one sits really like this. And how is that going to be possible? Right? But I'm going to show you, and I know many of you maybe have seen the Indian toilets, and there really people sit like this and do the evacuation. And this may be little odd topic, but believe me, this is something we have to start really right from there. That how do we sit, and how do we first of all get up in the morning and do the evacuation? The first question comes there, that if we want to balance the lifestyle, this is the one of the very major thing what Ayurveda has said. So how do we do that, and why should we do that? Just because Indians used to do that and that's why we should do that? Well, no, I'm going to show you the clinical research done here, the bowel movements, and how to sit. The sitting position of bowel movement has was studied, and the clinical studies actually show, I mean, these studies, when they observe all these things, they realize, and you can see my um, the picture here, and they what they observed, they did the defecation position and straining. The way you sit, how would help your bowel, inside your bowel, how they work. So the result of that study suggested that the greater the hip flexion. Now, what is the meaning of hip? If this is a person, then this is a hip here. The hip, this is a hip joint. I hope you are able to see my pointer. So this is the hip joint, and this hip joint has to be flexed. So as you would see how her hip joint is completely flexed. And this, the greater the hip flexion, right, achieved by squatting, this is a squatting pose, the straighter the rectoanal canal which be, and then the accordingly less straining will be required for the defecation. So in short, if I have to make it clear, that when you sit like this and this position, this angle is not 90-degree, this is your body and this is your hip joint, and that is not 90 but it is 45, then actually you defecate without straining. They did this, and they did this squatting position, and they saw that how the easy the bowel would come, and sitting height with this, how the difficulty was, and then the further the difficulty was. I will show you one more thing, and this might help understand you that if you sit like this is that 90-degree angle. So the body and the hip joint, if this actually flexed like this, which is ideally should be 35-degree, your bowel, the rectoileus muscle is there, which becomes loosen. If you sit like this, it becomes tighten, and so the defecation can be difficult. So Ayurveda says that get up in the morning. Why? Because the very first thing you should be doing is the bowel evacuation. And of course, the tongue cleaning and mouth cleaning and all these things will come, and we are going to talk about that. And Ayurveda, the whole concept is being given as that, we call it as a dinacharya. So how the daily routine should be. And one of the very first aspect, it has been said that get up early. Why do you get up early? Because then you have to do the evacuation. And why that evacuation has to happen in the morning? If that is the question, then that's what we say, that that is the vata time. The vata time means that is when the vata energy is prominent in you, and eta energy is responsible for moving everything naturally. So you don't have to really effort, and I don't have to convince you that if your bowels are clean and the whole day, then how whole day will go nice. And also there are multiple studies which show that every disease actually starts from your colon or your stomach or the GI tract. And so, as much as that is clean, you're already starting to create a good way of the life. So, now the question would may come that, okay, this is good, we understood that, that's fine, but how do I work on that? And that is also very simple. What you really need to do is you just have to take a step stool and give the rising aspect. And once you rise this, your feet, look at this feet, the leveling, and look at this feet, the leveling. Once you rise these feet up, automatically your hip flexion will become narrow. It won't be 90, it will become 35, which is perfect, and you would observe the change. So this is how basically right from the morning. And why am I saying this? Again, this is a Vata time, and that's how it will work. Let me tell you, there are 40 points have been given in Illinois, in the Dinacharya. Dina means day, and Charya means how you have to behave. So, how should be your daily routine? It has been mentioned, and obviously, that's what we call it as a Dinacharya. So, very first thing of the Dinacharya we saw, there are 40 such points are being given. Of course, it is not possible that I can cover all the 40 points just in a 1 hour lecture. That may not be possible, but I do want to touch something very, very important in those, not 40, but at least 4 points. And one of that point was to again get up early. Why? Because that is the right time of the defecation. And if you defecate naturally, normally, and completely without any strain, then your whole day can go good. And as that energy starts moving, and as the cleanliness comes, obviously your digestion will be good, your metabolism will be good, and the general health is absolutely achieved. The second part, which is also very common, and people many times may be following also, knowing its real benefits. As you see here, into the my right side of the corner, there is a, I hope you are aware of this. This is called Jivha Nirlekhanam. That's the Sanskrit name. In short, this is called tongue scraper. You may say, yes, I have seen my parents or even I do tongue scraping. Do you know why and what is the benefit of tongue scraping? And not just the tongue scraping benefit, but why only this kind of instrument should be used to do the tongue scraping? One of the simplest reason many time people, the dentist says that, oh yeah, I know, we do also tongue skipping, but we use the back of the, we use the on the tongue, we just like scrape the tongue with our toothbrush. And I would suggest, as an Ayurvedic doctor, now you should use actually this type of tongue scraping only, because there is a meaning. Why do we do the tongue scraping? It's not just the oral hygiene, it is actually beyond that. And that is something one has to understand. And these are the some benefits of the tongue scraping. Of course, it reduces the undesirable bacteria in the mouth. It is considered that 90% of bacteria are all actually on your tongue, and that's they are to be really removed, and they are not good. And that's why after getting up from the night, because the whole night what we do the fast, we don't eat and do anything, obviously the whole night those the bacteria can grow even if you have done the brushing at night. And that's why they are to be removed, and that's how you will clean the, you will brush the teeth. But what about your tongue? Your tongue need to be brushed also, but it need not to be brushed by the brush, it should be scraped by the tongue scraper. Another very important, it reduces the bad breath by reducing the volatile sulfur components, wax, which are byproduct of the mouth bacteria linked to the bad breath. So these mouth bacteria basically stay there, and this is very important that they interact, and their byproduct comes out, which is volatile sulfur components. This is why this is important to learn, because later on, then the next thing I'm going to tell you which type of tongue scraper one should use. Not just the tongue scraper should be used, but again which type is been also mentioned by Ayurveda. So much detail explanation being provide solutions being provided. It is also said that the changes the environment, tongue scraping basically changes the environment of the mouth to reduce purification and decrease the bacterial load. It also improves the taste sensation. So bacterial, the cleaning, the hygienic aspect is one aspect, and that is needed, no doubt about it. As I said, it has to be scraped. The way you brush your teeth, you have to brush your tongue also. But don't brush the tongue. Take the tongue scraper and do that. And again, why? Then it comes actually because what Ayurveda believes, that the coating which you have on your tongue actually coats your all the sensory parts. So to improve their taste sensation, because the tongue is the sensation for the tasting your, that is a sensory organ for your tasting any food taste. If that is itself is being coated, then how are you going to taste that? Correct. And so to taste, have the right and appropriate taste, one has to really use the tongue scraper, which would really kick, not only just the reduce the load of this bacteria, or in Ayurvedic word we call it as a ama. Ama means toxins, and we are going to talk next you know in the next class maybe more about the detoxification. But first, this improving the tests, if you remove that, the whole load of the coating, then your taste sensation will be improved. And that is exactly is being done with this type of trunk scraper, because if you use brush, it is not even, where in this sense this is all very much even. It also kickstarts the digestion process by stimulating the taste bud. Now remember, it does not only stimulate there, it does something further, and that is it activates and engages the lower intestines to initiate the complete bowel elimination first thing in the morning, already if it is not done, or it does one another very essential point. And you know what that is, it gives the sensation to intestine that, okay, the nerve endings at the tongue and the nerve endings into the stomach, they are somehow absolutely connected. And as you tongue scrape, you send the signal to your digestive system that now was fasting for whole night. I have get up now. I have tongue clean, means I'm going to put something inside. So be prepared there, because now you have to secrete those juices. So whatever I'm eating, that should be get digested. So in a way, it actually gives you the sensation of for the digestive process. And that is the most important benefit of the tongue scraper. People also, ask which type of tongues. And I would also like to show you that this is how actually the tongue scraping should be done. We also recommend that do this so 7 times at least. In the sense, go back of the tongue, pull it down softly, and then again wash that, again go back, pull it down, wash it, again go back then. And that's how 7 times you have to do. Ayurveda believes there are 7 type of dhatus. Dhatus means tissues in your body, and for each one to activate, we are doing the 7 time tongue scraping. Now I was telling you that there are different type of tongue scraper. Nowadays we don't get really the gold and silver, but copper at least you get. And ideally one must use the copper. There is a reason behind that. Remember I was telling you the bacterial 90% of bacteria are on tongue. That's what it has been written somewhere. So obviously there is a connection between this copper and bacteria, and that study was done, and it has been revealed that copper has a is the bacterial resistant metal. So copper help basically to keep the bacteria off of your tongue, unnecessary bacteria. And it also actually helps support the lymphatic flow. See, this is something again the the researcher keep on studying and understanding, that copper ions were believed to absorb into the lymph and blood and supports the healthy responses. The health responses are very, very crucial. We need to really truly develop these, I mean, it's not just like, okay, go ahead and use anything. It has been very specifically mentioned that one should at least use, if not gold and silver. And again, it has been said that who should use gold and who should use silver and copper. But basically, what should be used? Then it should be always the copper tongue scraper. And that's something, would help, because this copper would be beneficial not just for the bacterial load, but also to increase your healthy immune response. I'm going to show you one more thing. So please remember this copper connection, and please remember how it gets, absorbed into the lymph and blood and supports the immune response, because there is something new coming up. Next to the tongue scraping, what do you think you do? Obviously, you drink water. Now the mouth cleaning is been done and everything is done. And again, look, what is it? It is also copper. So ideally, it is a good idea, and this is again a good idea for everyone. Two things are very, very important. First, get up in the morning. I mean, anything first you put inside your body should be only water. So first thing what should go into your mouth should be only water. And you'll ask me why? The answer is simple. Just think about when people do fasting, and when they break their fast, what do you think they eat? Do they go and eat the burger, or do you provide them the full meal? No, it is always been given with some liquid. Those fasts are longer, that's why it is juices are given. Here your 8 hour fast, when you sleep and get up, you have just the 8 hour fast, and that has to be broken down, that has to be released. And that's why water is the main thing, and don't put anything else but the water. And how would you have that water? You should have that water saved, stored in copper glass and in copper vessel, and then drink it from the copper glass. And this will not just, again, as you saw in our last slide also, that these copper ions are helpful to absorb by the lymph and blood, and it actually ultimately help to create the healthy immune response. As I said, copper is also fights the bacteria very well. In fact, there was a study done, and what they did in the hospital setting, they did the rooms of the hospital, people, after post surgical rooms, wherever they would keep them. So they had this in one room, they made the furniture with some other thing, steel or some other metal, and in one room they had everything copper. So uh, you know the counterparts or something where the copper was applied. And guess what? The study revealed, the results were, the people who were staying into the copper, round copper thing, their post surgical infection rate was absolutely nil. Whereas people with this in the other room, their respective rooms, where the copper was not used, actually they found the infection there. The rate as of a post surgical rates. So again, copper has been proven as very effective against the bacteria. And not just only that, but in our body also, it helps to reduce this whole, kapha dosha if increases, and then it can help. So that is how the water aspect. And that's why water has to be taken. Again, water after washing the mouth and everything doing, then ideally one should drink water, and that water should be warm water, of course, not the cold water. So I in the morning, I mean, in the beginning also, I said that the morning routine, dinacharya, dina means day, and people understand day as, the day and night are different. But in Ayurveda, when we say day, it actually takes over the all 24 hours. And so the Ratri Charya is also included in Dinacharya. What that means, the nightly routine is been also given, and not just the actual day routine is given. So when you get up, what you should do, and how each and every steps, multiple steps are given. In that it is, you will literally, they have covered that. Okay, how do you get ready after drinking water? What should you be doing every day? How the taking shower is important, and what time that shower should be taken. How, as I said, every day evacuation is important, and what time evacuation is important. All these things are very well given in the dinacharya aspect. And the way I said that drinking water is been explained, when to eat food is been also given, how the food should be there. And we can look into this. That's another big chapter, that how the food should be. And we will talk about that in one of the lectures. But how, not just how, what food to be eaten, how the food to be eaten, it is also been mentioned. What time it should be eaten, and with what mindset it should be eaten. All these things are very much really nicely given. So I talked so much about the daily routine, right? There is something very crucial, which without which we cannot really achieve the complete health. And that's why I'm just touching base on one quick thing, and that is sleep. So nightly routine absolutely focuses on sleep. And adequate sleep is so much important, because there are again multiple benefits of that sleep. And you could see this are those so many benefits, that how one should be sleep actually increases the lifespan. So for that life, even not just the adequate sleep is going to give you health, but actually it would help you to increase some years into your life. It definitely increases your immune system, it increases your creativity, it increases the memory, the physical performances, absolutely reduces the risk of even depression. As we sleep, of course, the people sometimes have heard like, okay, I'm under tremendous tension, what should I do? I say, go to sleep. Sleep for some time and you will rejuvenate and you will come. Or take not just nap I'm talking about, but night sleep. Have the complete night sleep. It has been shown that your blood pressure also stays natural once you sleep on the time. And most beneficial thing in today's life, well, everybody is struggling for losing weight. Actually, still sleep helps you lose weight. And this, how does that happen? You'd say, okay, we have to do the exercise and all that. Of course, that those things are true. But as you sleep well, you're somehow those cortisol responses, the hormones imbalance, which creates the your blood problem, your weight problem, that becomes normal. However, having said that, this is very crucial, that the really maximum hours of sleep should not be more than 8 hours. It is really not necessary. Of course, if it is a kids and a young, babies and all that, then that is fine. There is no problem. But typical, at least, one should not go the more than maximum hours of sleep. That is also necessary. But adequate sleep is truly important. So coming to the end of the presentation in a nutshell, and I know it was impossible to cover all the 40 points, but I wanted to at least touch base on 4 points. And that's why we saw these things. So what we really, I want you to go with this real message, that nature really follows an orderly pattern. You have always seen that how the sun comes at that time only. Do you ever see that sun, oh, sun didn't happen during the sunrise? That really doesn't happen. Maybe there are clouds, but sun is still there, right? Or moon, or the body, the rotation of course they are always there everywhere. We know how the earth moves. So the movement of earth is such a orderly pattern. It doesn't go faster, 1 second faster or 1 second slower. And that's why we say that nature follows an orderly pattern. right? So know your body, means know your body type, and absolutely understand that you how you want to synchronize with the nature. And why do we want to synchronize, or why do we want to align, or why do we want to balance our whole lifestyle, is just for achieving the holistic health, and that is possible to achieve that optimal health through Ayurveda. So thank you so much for your patient listening. And I think I'm open for the question answers now.
Anyone have questions? Please either unmute yourself or and if there are no questions, then I had one question, Dr. Ashlesha. Uh, like when we use the copper vessels, I'm usually very scared because they get the tarnish. And so if you can explain how to take care of that and whether it has to be on a regular basis.
Yeah. And so basically, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking this question, because it is undoubted that we have to use the clean vessel. There is no doubt about it. And so, how do you take care of that clean vessel? Is to absolutely simple, always use maybe the lime or the something which is sour, right? So tamarind also you can use to clean it, and you, or if not, then you can use the your lime or lime juice, and make sure that it really you know shines well, and that is the sign of that it is clean. If it is not clean, if it is tarnished, if it has greenness, do not use it. Definitely not a good idea. It's not difficult to actually clean if you regularly use that, and the way we naturally do it. A little bit of using tamarind and making it shiny would not be a difficult task, and that's why I would suggest that use the really the vessel which is has a big mouth, so you can actually clean it nicely inside.
Thank you. It was a nice session. I learned a lot of things as well. I didn't know that the tongue scraper has to be used in a certain motion, directing downwards. So I do that wrong as well. And that we have to use copper for it. That also I was unaware of. And we are very grateful. We are learning new things every week. I mean, every month whenever we have the session. And it's very so next time, all of you, those who missed the session or who joined late, will be having the recording on our YouTube channel, Arva Yoga YouTube channel. So definitely go and watch there, as well as share it with your friends and family. I'm sure somebody will be benefited by this. So definitely share those videos. And next, I mean, in April, we'll be having another session from Dr. Ashlesha, and that will be on Panchakarma, or which is also known as the Ayurvedic detox. And I'm very excited to know about that as well, because I hear the word a lot, but even I don't have the details about it. And it'll be wonderful to learn from Vaidya Ashlesha. So if anybody has any questions, I'll give a few seconds. If not, we will end this session. I think we don't have any questions. So thank you so much, Ashlesha ji.
Sure, my pleasure, always. Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.